You've been told a lie, that if you stop finasteride, your hair will fall out, no exceptions. So you live in a quiet state of panic. You take the pill every day without questioning it. And even though you worry about what it's doing to your body, you feel like there's no alternatives. So you stay trapped between losing your hair or losing control of your health. Here's the truth though, that you may not like. You're not being told everything about your hair loss. I know this because I believe the same fears you do. I thought my hair loss was purely genetic, purely DHT, and that quitting DHT blockers would ruin everything. I quit anyway, and 6 months later, my hair, it's still here. That's why in this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what happened after I quit, why the fear around quitting finasteride is exaggerated, and the other factors affecting my hair loss that mattered far more than I was led to believe. So lock in, your hero's journey begins now. This is why finasteride feels non-negotiable to all of us, and why you never question the belief behind it. For one, hair loss is scary. It makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, and your hair loss gets framed as inevitable and irreversible. This basically positions DHT as the sole enemy, and as a result, you naturally feel like you have to block it. Not to mention that looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing that early thinning starts to feel a little bit like a countdown clock of the worst possible result, which is obviously losing your hair. And that fear right there, it turns finasteride into a lifeline. Not to mention that if you go to any dermatologist, finasteride is pretty much presented as the only responsible option. In fact, that's what I was told when I went to a dermatologist. He flat out told me the only way to regain your hair is by taking finasteride, and basically let me know that any other method would be reckless or just stupid. If any of you heard that, it would obviously cause you to comply through fear and not understanding. And that lack of understanding is really the root cause, because no one explains the full hair loss equation. There's little discussion of scalp tension, blood flow, inflammation, and also lifestyle factors. These all get ignored, and your hair loss gets reduced to a single hormone. And once you really start to see this clearly, it helps you realize that you didn't choose finasteride because you were informed. You chose it because you were afraid. Afraid of doing nothing. Afraid of making the wrong move. Afraid of losing control. And when fear is the foundation, you don't actually feel secure even when the hair stabilizes, because you know, if you stop taking that pill, you're gonna lose all your hair. Which raises the real question. What actually happens when that fear gets removed and that pill gets taken out of the equation? That's where the story changes. And it's also the part where most men are terrified, because this is the moment you're told everything begins to fall apart. But what actually happened for me was very different, because like I expected, the fear was worse than the reality. I had an expectation of shedding. So after I quit, I was hyper monitoring my hairline and my crown. I was waiting for that crash everyone warned me about. And 7 months later, I'm still waiting, because there's been no sudden mass shedding. My density and texture have stayed relatively stable. I wouldn't say my hair has gone completely back to normal, but it's definitely improved without finasteride, which I previously thought was impossible. And this has caused the fear to really start losing its grip, because I realized one thing, that I didn't have the whole story. Instead of fear, curiosity has started taking its place. Because if DHT was actually a major role here, this shouldn't be possible. And this is the moment your brain might start to rebel. Because if quitting was supposed to ruin everything, and it didn't for me, then the story you were told might just be incomplete. Not wrong, incomplete. And then once that really starts to click, you're gonna stop obsessing over what you removed and start asking a better question. What else was quietly supporting my hair and is quietly supporting your hair this entire time? That's really what we need to unpack next. By the way, if you're tired of doing this alone, and instead of just watching transformation, you're finally ready to experience it, take the next step with my free ebook, Your Hero's Journey. It'll show you exactly which stage of the journey you're in and how to rise to the next one. And if you want personal guidance, you can always book a private session with me as well. You can find both links below this video. This is where the story stops being so much about finasteride and starts being about hair loss itself. Because once I stopped asking what DHT blocking drug I needed, I started paying even more attention to what I already learned my scalp and body actually needed. And the first thing I began to focus on was scalp environment, because now I have realized that it matters much more than I was told. Things like chronic scalp tension restrict blood flow your follicles need to grow. Not only that, poor circulation starves your follicles over time, which obviously causes them to fall out. So I've now started to prioritize relaxation and mobility of the scalp. I also started to focus on inflammation and lifestyle, because I'm starting to believe that these may play a bigger role than I thought. If you're chronically stressed, this is going to keep your body constantly inflamed, which obviously does not benefit your hair. And if you have poor sleep and poor diet, this is all going to compound your hair loss signals. And I've said it from the start, hair can oftentimes reflect your overall systematic health. And I've been really really leaning into that. So if you're losing your hair, I'm not saying that DHT isn't playing a role, but I am saying that there may be other things your body needs that is being reflected through your hair loss. And if you actually take the time to learn and implement what those things are, DHT may honestly not play as much of a role as we thought. That's why I've shifted to supporting growth instead of blocking hormones. I've started implementing daily habits that support my hair growth and, from my perspective, are compounding quietly. This is why I believe my hair has essentially stabilized even without using a DHT blocker for the past 7 months. And this should hopefully allow your fear to start to dissolve, because once you really start to see how many levers actually affect hair loss, DHT is going to stop feeling like a death sentence and start feeling like just one variable in a much bigger system. This is going to allow you to stop reacting emotionally and start thinking long term on how you want to work on this hair loss problem. Which brings us to the most important shift of all: how to approach your hair loss without panic, pressure, or regret. And this is the perfect spot to be in, because this is where everything finally starts to slow down. Hair loss stops being something you react to emotionally and starts becoming something you approach with clarity. And the way I've gone about this is to start looking at hair loss as a long-term system, not a switch that turns on or off. The reason why I started looking at it this way is that your progress can't be measured instantly. You have to measure this in weeks, if not months. And if you're panicking about losing your hair, your decisions down the line might create regret, especially if you're using DHT blockers and experiencing side effects, or you're just worried about blocking your hormones. This is why in order to properly do this, you need to rely on consistency instead of urgency, and you have to put aside the need for certainty to move forward here. Of course, I'm not saying this approach isn't risk-free, and it really comes down to what you really want. Are you fine with blocking your hormones and potentially experiencing side effects, or are you fine with doing your own research and trying to solve your hair loss that way? Either way, waiting out of fear here is still a decision, which is why I personally recommend not waiting, because the more you wait without doing anything, the worse your hair is going to get. And although the strategy I'm talking about here may take more time initially, once you finally start to find the reasons why your body's losing its hair, fix them, and start seeing your hair come back, it's going to change everything. And you're going to start trusting the process instead of believing in fear. On top of this, it's a really good feeling listening to your body and seeing it respond positively to you, instead of how it usually feels when you see yourself losing hair in the mirror. This is the part no one really talks about. When you stop letting fear make decisions for you, take responsibility, and figure out what actually works for your body, everything is going to start to feel different. You're no longer going to be constantly bracing for the worst. You're no longer going to be rushing into choices you don't fully believe in. And you're no longer going to be outsourcing your confidence to a pill. Because once you approach hair loss from clarity instead of panic, you don't feel trapped anymore. You feel in control again. If you're interested in my exact routine that has allowed me to maintain my hair 7 months after stopping finasteride, your hero's journey continues here.